The wheelchair hit the pavement with a metallic crash that echoed across the pharmacy parking lot, its wheels spinning uselessly in the afternoon sun. Sergeant First Class Marcus Thompson, retired, lay face down on the asphalt, his paralyzed legs twisted at an angle that would have caused agony if he could feel anything below his waist. The wound that had taken his mobility in Kandahar 16 years ago had never stopped teaching him about pain, but nothing had prepared him for this moment, for the boot now pressing against his back while a voice screamed at him to stop resisting. He was not resisting. He could not resist. He could barely breathe. The August heat radiated from the ground in visible waves, cooking the black asphalt to temperatures that burned exposed skin within seconds. Marcus felt it searing his forearms, his cheek, his palms as he tried instinctively to push himself up. Nearby, his prescription bag lay scattered, white pills spilling across the ground like confetti at a parade nobody wanted to attend. 3 cars had stopped in the lot. A woman was screaming. A child was crying. And above it all, Officer Dean Holloway kept his boot planted firmly on a paralyzed veteran's spine, demanding compliance from a man who had already given everything he had to his country. It had started 7 minutes earlier, with something as simple as a parking space. Marcus had pulled his modified van into the handicapped spot nearest the pharmacy entrance, the same spot he used every month when picking up his medications. The van was equipped with a ramp, hand controls, and the specialized equipment that allowed him to maintain some measure of independence despite his injury. A Purple Heart recipient, a Bronze Star holder, a man who had served 3 tours and come home in a wheelchair so that others could come home walking. He had made peace with his limitations years ago. What he had never made peace with was being treated as less than human. Officer Holloway had been parked across the lot, running radar on the adjacent street, when he noticed the van pull in. Something about it caught his attention. Perhaps it was the vehicle itself, a newer model with custom modifications. Perhaps it was the driver he glimpsed through the window. Perhaps it was something uglier, something that would later be revealed in text messages and disciplinary files. Whatever the reason, he decided to investigate. Marcus was halfway down his ramp when the officer approached, hand already resting on his service weapon. "This your vehicle?" The question was becoming familiar. Too familiar. Marcus had heard it at gas stations, grocery stores, outside his own home. The implication never changed. "Yes, sir, it is." He kept his hands visible on the wheels of his chair, a habit learned not from military training but from survival instinct in a country that viewed him with suspicion despite his service. "Got documentation for those plates? That handicapped placard?" Marcus gestured toward the van. "Placard is registered to me. I can show you my VA identification, my license, whatever you need." Holloway circled the wheelchair slowly, examining Marcus the way one might examine livestock at auction. "What happened to your legs?" "Combat injury, Afghanistan, 2008. That's so." The officer's tone suggested disbelief. "You got proof of that?" Marcus felt the heat rising in his chest, but he kept his voice level. He had survived ambushes, IED explosions, the death of friends close enough to call brothers. He would survive this too. "I have my VA card. I have my military identification. I have documentation in the vehicle if you require it." "What I require is for you to step out of that chair." The words hung in the air, absurd and menacing simultaneously. "Officer, I am paralyzed from the waist down. I cannot step anywhere. Do not get smart with me." Holloway moved closer, his shadow falling over Marcus like a threat. "I have seen plenty of scammers fake disabilities for parking spots and benefits. You are going to prove to me that you actually need that chair." "And how exactly would you like me to do that?" "Stand up." Marcus stared at him for a long moment, searching for any indication that this was some kind of misunderstanding, some procedural requirement he was unaware of. He found nothing but hostility staring back. "I cannot stand. I have a spinal cord injury at the T4 vertebra. My legs do not function. This is not a choice." "Then I guess we are going to find out together." What happened next would be captured in its entirety by the body camera mounted on Holloway's chest, a device the officer had apparently forgotten was recording or simply did not care about. The footage would show him reaching down, grabbing Marcus by his shirt collar and hauling him bodily out of the wheelchair. It would show the chair tipping, crashing to the ground. It would show Marcus falling, unable to catch himself properly, his face striking the pavement. It would show him lying there, motionless, while Holloway placed a boot on his back and began screaming commands. "Stop resisting! Put your hands behind your back!" "I am not resisting!" Marcus's voice was muffled against the asphalt. "I cannot move my legs! I am a disabled veteran!" "Sure you are, and I am the president!" The witnesses would later testify that they were frozen, horrified, unable to process what they were seeing. A teenage girl was the first to react, pulling out her phone and pressing record with trembling hands. Her footage would provide a second angle, showing the terror on Marcus's face, the casual cruelty in Holloway's posture, the spilled medication cooking on the hot pavement. "Please," Marcus said, and the word cost him something. He had not begged since the field hospital, since the doctors told him he would never walk again. "My prescription is on the ground. I need that medication." "I am not a threat to you. I am just trying to pick up my pills and go home." Holloway laughed. The body camera caught it perfectly, that small, ugly laugh of a man who believed himself untouchable. "Your pills. Right. Probably selling them. That is how you afford that nice van, is it not?" He reached for his handcuffs. The backup unit arrived 4 minutes later, responding to Holloway's request for assistance with a resisting suspect. Officer Patricia Vance stepped out of her cruiser, expecting a confrontation. What she found instead was a paralyzed man lying on superheated pavement, his wheelchair overturned nearby, his VA identification card sitting in plain view on the ground where it had fallen from his pocket. She picked up the card. She looked at the man. She looked at Holloway. "Dean, what did you do?" Suspect was belligerent, refused to comply with lawful orders, possible fraudulent use of handicapped privileges. Vance crouched beside Marcus, her expression shifting as she took in his condition. His forearms were already blistering from the hot asphalt. His breathing was laboured. And his legs, she noticed, had not moved once since her arrival. "Sir, can you move your legs for me?" "No, ma'am." His voice was exhausted, defeated. "I have not been able to move them since an IED took out my convoy in 2008. She looked up at Holloway, and something in her face made him take a step back. "Get the paramedics here, now." "Patty, come on. He is faking—" "I said now, Dean." The next hour would determine everything. Paramedics arrived and confirmed what was immediately obvious. Marcus Thompson was a paraplegic with documented injuries consistent with blast trauma. His military service records were verified within minutes. His prescription, the one Holloway had accused him of planning to sell, was for nerve pain medication commonly prescribed to veterans with spinal cord injuries. Officer Patricia Vance did something that day that would cost her friendships within the department, but allow her to sleep at night. She filed an immediate report. She preserved all body camera footage. She contacted the VA liaison, the department's Internal Affairs Division, and, crucially, the FBI's Civil Rights Unit. She also helped Marcus Thompson into the ambulance, his forearms wrapped in gauze, his dignity in tatters, but his resolve harder than it had ever been. "I'm sorry," she told him before the doors closed. "This is not who we are supposed to be." "Some of you are not," he replied, "but he is, and there are more like him." The investigation that followed ripped open wounds the department had been hiding for years. Holloway's personnel file revealed a history that should have ended his career long before Marcus Thompson became his victim. 11 complaints of excessive force. 7 complaints of racial discrimination. 2 prior incidents involving disabled individuals, both quietly settled out of court with non-disclosure agreements. His supervisors had not merely failed to act, they had actively protected him, burying complaints and coaching him through investigations. The body camera footage became evidence in multiple proceedings. It showed not just the assault itself, but the casual bigotry that preceded it. The assumptions made before a single document was checked. The violence deployed against a man whose only crime was existing in a space where someone like Holloway decided he did not belong. Marcus Thompson filed suit against the department, the city, and Holloway personally. The case drew national attention, veteran advocacy groups and civil rights organizations joining forces in a coalition that demanded accountability. The discovery process revealed those damning text messages, conversations between Holloway and fellow officers that used language so explicit it could not be broadcast, jokes about disability claims, slurs thrown around like casual punctuation. The criminal trial lasted 6 weeks. Holloway's defense attempted to portray Marcus as aggressive, non-compliant, a threat. The body camera footage destroyed every argument. Jurors watched Marcus fall from his wheelchair and remain exactly where he landed because he could not do otherwise. They watched Holloway laugh while a veteran's skin blistered against hot pavement. They watched, and they understood. The verdict came back guilty on all counts: aggravated assault, civil rights violations, filing false reports, evidence tampering stemming from Holloway's attempt to delete certain files after the incident went public. The judge, a former military JAG officer himself, delivered a sentence that would become a landmark. 20 years in federal prison, no possibility of early parole. 4 supervisors were terminated. The police chief resigned in disgrace. The city settled Marcus's civil suit for $7 million and agreed to federal oversight of the department for a minimum of 5 years. Mandatory disability awareness training became required for all officers, designed and taught by disabled veterans themselves. Holloway began serving his sentence at a federal correctional facility in Virginia. He will be 63 years old when he becomes eligible for release. His law enforcement career not merely ended but erased, his pension forfeited, his name synonymous with precisely the kind of abuse the badge was supposed to prevent. Marcus Thompson used a portion of his settlement to establish a foundation supporting disabled veterans transitioning to civilian life. He speaks regularly at police academies now, his wheelchair positioned at the front of auditoriums, where recruits sit in uncomfortable silence and listen to what unchecked authority can destroy. He does not speak with anger. He speaks with the precision of a man who has seen battle and knows that the most important fights are rarely fought with weapons. His wheelchair, the same one Holloway overturned that August afternoon, sits in his home office. He has never replaced it. The scratches on its frame remind him, he says, that survival is its own form of victory. Officer Holloway believed a badge made him powerful. He believed disability meant weakness. He believed certain people were beneath scrutiny, while others deserved nothing but. He believed his cruelty would remain invisible, protected by a system built to shield men like him from consequence. He was wrong. The camera was always watching. Justice was always waiting. If this story impacted you, take a second to hit that like button and help others find it. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts on what real police accountability should look like. Share this video with someone who needs to see it, because these stories matter. And if you are new here, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story where the truth comes out and justice finally arrives. Thank you for being here.